Morning, Dr. Ganesh and my classmates.
I'm Lian Tong, and along with my teammates Ming Si, Abaka, and Javed, we will be presenting on our findings of Mexico. Now, before we dive into our presentation, let's take a look at our agenda. We will be having 7 items on our agenda for today. For the first and second item on the agenda, I would like to invite Ming Si to present our findings.
Hello everyone, my name is Mingxi, and firstly I will introduce about the Mexico brief history and timeline key events. So firstly I will introduce about the nation flag of Mexico. The 3 colors of Mexico flags hold deep significance for the country and its citizens. The green represents hope and victory, while stands for the purity of Mexican ideals, and red brings to the mind the blood shed by the nation's heroes. The Mexico was the home to many great civilizations, include the Olmec, the Maya, the Zapotec, and the Aztec. For over 3,000 years before the European arrived, these civilizations. Let's go into detail on the key events and how it contributes to the Mexican culture. The Olmec civilization lasted from 1,500 to 400 BCE. The Olmec civilization followed by the rest of Maya culture. They excellent at hieroglyph writing, calendar making, and left great architecture. The ruins can still seen today. It's named El Castillo Pyramid. The great ancient city of Teotihuacan was built around 600 AD. It was the largest pre-Columbian city in America, and probably had a population of more than 150,000 people. The Aztec Empire was the last great civilization prior to the arrival of the Spanish. They came into power in 1325, partnering with the Toltecs and the Mayans. So next one is about the cultural influence. The majority of the Mexican population speaks Spanish, the official national language. However, another 60 indigenous languages are still spoken in Mexico. So the next page. So in 1600, Spain conquered the rest of Mexico, and Mexico became a Spanish colony for 300 years. In 1810, Mexico defeated the Spanish and gained full independence. In 1824, Mexico becomes a republic. In 1838, France invades Mexico for the first time. Mexican-American War began in 1846 and ended in 1848. In 1862, Mexican victory over French invaders. In 1910, the Mexican Revolution begins, and the National Mexican Party is formed in 1929. Mexico joins the alliance in the Second World War, declaring war on Germany and Japan in 1942. And in 1993, the NAFTA with Canada and the United States is ratified. Next page. Geography and topography. So Mexico's graphical features range from swamp to desert, and from tropical lowland jungle to high alpine vegetation. Over half the country is at an altitude greater than 1,000 meters. The central landmass is a plateau flanked by ranges of mountains to the east and the west that lie roughly parallel to the coast. And the largest and most densely populated region is the Mexican Plateau, extending from the Isthmus of Tehuantepec northward to the United States border. The region consists of a central plateau and its dissected borders. And next one, I will introduce about the geographic affect the culture in Mexico. So geography profoundly affects the cultural development of the indigenous peoples who first inhabited the lands and that today comprise to the Republic of Mexico. The relative installation of early communities fostered the development of multiple indigenous groups, each with its own distinct language and customs. So this is my presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Mingxi, for highlighting the brief history as well as the geography and topography of Mexico. Next up on our agenda, I would like to present on our findings on the location of main cities, ports, airports, and transportation networks. So now let's take a look at the main cities of Mexico. First, we have Mexico City, the capital of Mexico. It is the second largest metropolitan area as it has 21.3 million citizens and thus making it the center of economy for Mexico. Second, Sinaloa. The main activities in Sinaloa are agriculture, fishing, livestock breeding, etc. And the products obtained from these activities are used for both local and national consumption. And moving on, we have Guadalajara, the second largest metropolitan area in the country, and also the second highest population density in Mexico, with important center cities like science, technology, education, and business. Mexico is ranked as the 13th largest export economy in the world due to its strategic geographical position of their ports. So first, we have the port of Veracruz, which is the one of Mexico's third largest port, located on the country's eastern coast with direct access to the Gulf of Mexico. And today, the port of Veracruz is the country's oldest and most historically significant port. And this port was Mexico's largest until 2005, when it was overtaken by the port of Manzanillo. And so second, we have Port of Manzanillo, which is the Mexico's largest port, which is located in the state of Colima along the Pacific coast and handles the Pacific Ocean cargo for the Mexico City area. And so given its location, it acts as an important port for Asian importers and exporters. And most of the ports export are shipped to neighboring countries such as the US, Canada, and Colombia, and also further off, Japan, China, and India. And so third, we have the port of Cardenas, located on Mexico's Pacific Ocean, and it is one of the largest seaports in the area. And this deepwater seaport is equipped to accommodate post-Panamax vessels and handles containerized cargoes, dry bulk, and also liquid cargo. In 2020, Mexico has a total of 77 airports. And in Mexico City itself, they have 2 airports and has 138 helipads. Mexico City International Airport is the biggest airport in Mexico. Sinaloa has 3 international airports as it is the center destination for tourists. And so for the transportation network, Mexico is the third largest country in Latin America and the second most populous. And as a crowded country, providing their people with a decent mode of transportation is essential so that they can comfortably travel around the country. First, the first mode of transportation is the bus. So the bus is the main form of long-distance public transportation in Mexico. And there is an extensive network of buses which range from modern luxury coaches to retired school buses. Second, Mexico City has the second largest metro system in North America after New York. and it offers an excellent way to get around the country. And third is the collectible. So what is a collectible? A collectible can be a car, a van, or a pickup truck that operates as a shared taxi covering a specific route. So they will generally stop anywhere along their route to pick up or drop off passengers. And lastly is a motor taxi. They're also known as rickshaws or tuk-tuks in other parts of the world. So they operate in small towns and on the outskirts of big cities. This is a very cheap and convenient way to get around the country, but keep in mind that the flimsy metal frame would not provide any protection in case of a collision. So isn't it interesting that Mexico has such an efficient and systematic various modes of transportation networks, which makes Mexico such a strategic location? And so moving on, let's welcome Abaka to elaborate further on the weather patterns and climatic conditions, as well as the demographic data.
Okay, thank you very much. I will be talking about the weather pattern. It's determined by the latitude and the altitude. So Mexico has a two weather, which is dry and the rainy season. Dry season from November to May, and the rainy season from June to October. So okay, the next is a weather pattern by region. So we have a climate region like tropical wet and dry season, semi-arid, arid desert and temperature with dry winter, humid subtropical and Mediterranean. So next I will also explain about the part of the countries with the weather. The first one is northern Mexico. Average high is 95 Fahrenheit and the average low is 48 Fahrenheit. The second one is Baja California, which is average high is 79 Fahrenheit, average low is 45 Fahrenheit. Rainy season from December to March. So the next one is central Mexico. Average high is 79 Fahrenheit, average low is 43 Fahrenheit. Rainy season from May, September to October. We also have a specific coast. Average high is 90 Fahrenheit. Average low is 70 to 75 Fahrenheit. Rainy season from June to October. The next one is Gulf Coast. Average high is 88 Fahrenheit. Average low is 64 Fahrenheit. Rainy season from June to October. Southern Mexico. Average high is 88 Fahrenheit. Average low is 47 Fahrenheit. The last one is Yucatan Peninsula. Average high is 90 Fahrenheit. Average low is 67 Fahrenheit. Rainy season June to September. They also have a hurricane season June to November. So this is a climate condition. We have an average rainfall amount and rainy days. So as you can see from the chart, it has dramatically fluctuated from 2014 to 2020. It reaches a peak every mid-year. Is significantly increased for the year 2019 and the year 2020 to an average of above 400 millimeters. The next one by the side is maximum, medium, and average temperature. As you can see the chart, it has also increased. It fluctuates from 2014 to 2020, also fluctuates within a year, significantly increased from year 2019 to an average of 30 degrees Celsius. So next is demographic data. This is Mexico's population. Mexico has a population of 128,932,753. So as you can see from the side, there is a map, the density of the population. It became dense, and there's also a chart shows about the rural and the urban population. It has dramatically increased, especially the urban population from 1955 to 2020. This is demographic data, age, gender distribution. We have a female and a male. Median age is 28.6 years, male 27.5 years, female 29.7 years. We also have ethnic group distribution by the side pie chart. The maximum ethnic group Amerindian Spanish, which is 62%, predominantly Amerindian, which is 21%, and the Amerindians, which is 7%, and the other mostly Europeans, which are 10% of the ethnic group.
So thank you, Abaka, for highlighting the weather patterns and climatic conditions, as well as the demographic data. So now we can now see that Mexico is more densely populated towards the southern part of Mexico, where the big cities are. And so finally, I would like to invite Javed to end off with the economic data and the main standards of living indicators of Mexico.
All right, thanks to Ms. Lian, Mr. Abubakar, and Ms. Sam, previous and all the presenters. Let's look at about the economics data, what it indicates. But you know all guys about the economics data. What is actually economics? Economics data is a financial strength of the country, how it's referenced to the other countries of the world. If you know the GNP, GNI, and GDP, it's so easy to understand the graphs. So let's talk about the very first is GDP. The GDP is measure the values and goods and the services produced within a countries with some border and by the citizens and non-citizens. The higher the range, you can see in 2015 it was 9.606 and 2019 is the slope decreases in 2016, then it's increased, then a shove, then again it's increased. So in 16 there was a bad condition in a countries in Mexico, then trying in 17 it overcome, then 18 is just stable, then 19 is again increasing. So it means an upper trend on the GDP. And if we talk about GNP per capita in Mexico, you can see the slope is very slightly decreasing until 2017. Then again, then a stable increase until 2019. So what is GNP here? GNP here is the value of goods and services produced by only a country's citizens, but both in domestically and also from abroad. So you can see how they contribute to the country's economy. Then if you talk about the GNI is the total amount of money earned by a national people and businesses within a country, but it is also measures and tracks the national wealth from year one to year. So the number indicates the national gross domestic product plus the income of received from overseas. So what you can say about these three measurements here? We can say the gross national product is a gross domestic product plus the net income from the abroad. So basically GNI and GNP is based on GDP, and GNI is the total income of countries by their own residents. Let's go for the next slides to talk about what is some other issues about the countries. Okay, let's talk about the data. I already explained what is GNP, GDP, and GNI. Let's talk about how the PPP works in Mexico. So you have to understand what is the meaning of PPP here. The PP is a purchasing power parity. What indicates actually all this? The purchasing power parity is a popular metrics used by econometrics analysis to compare the differences the countries, borders, and currency through a basket of, you can say it's goods in an approach that which allow the economists to compare the productivity and the standard of living to the other countries. So it's like, so you can see the how the individuals can contribute the countries to growth of the economy. So at first, the top left side, you can see GNP per capita in 2015. Then it is like gradually increased 16, 17, 18, and 19. But you can see 18 to 19, that is stable. So it's not much different, but rather than 2015, 16, and 17. Go for the next, the top left right side. Then you can see GNI per capita in Mexico. And it is completely a sharp increase from 15 to 2018. Then which supports the economy, the total, the entire countries in GDP per capita, 15 to 18. But somehow it's a little bit a very short, you can say a gradual decrease to 18 to 19. That's kind of fluctuates between the country's economy. So go for let's for the next slide. And then you have to also the new one form is GINI. What is GINI in Mexico? The very first, what is the meaning of GINI? GNI is a measurement of distribution of income across a population. The higher index indicates the inequality with the higher income individuals, which is a much larger percentage at the total income and the population. So you can see how the metrics is gone over. Like in 2014, it was around 48.7, and it's decreased in 2016, and also is the trends also decreasing in 2018. Let's see what can we see in the next up to the next few years, how it's increased on other personally, especially the Mexican countries. And the next, you can see the average wages in Mexico in 2015, it was like 16,000.231. Then it decreases in 16 and 17 as a little bit, again the sharp decreases. But you can see you can make the previous slides, the economic how changes. Then you see the country's improvement 16 to 17 to 18. Of course, their economic growth is good. That's why the average annual salary increases 16 to 1 there, and then again the peak power. So this is an annual salary and wages, you can say there in Mexico. And the bottom side, you can see the household income per capita in a house, how it's decreases or increases in 2014, 16, and 18. You can see the 14 to 16 is decreases, and then sharp increase from 16 to 18. Why it's the decrease and sharp increase? You can analyze the previous slides and also the Gini and the average wages, how it takes curve. So even the curve says here is slide, but this is an individual. So individual is following the very long slope. So when it makes an improvement, within countries, people that will show very easily. So I hope you got it my point. And very finally, you can talk about the exchange rate as well in Malaysia. We used to call our currencies ringgit Malaysia. 1 RM equals to 5.10 Mexican peso, I think is the pronunciation. Yeah, let's go for next slide to talk about something very about the standard of living about the Mexican countries. Well, the Mexican standard of living indicators, the very first, what is the standard of living? It is the amount of the easiness or the comfort, you can say, to get the goods and services available to a specific person or group. Maybe those who are living in Mexico, how easy can get their living things easily. So you know they can see about the clean waters, the electricity, and also you can see from the descriptions is also sanitation. So in urban and the cities area, the 97% have access to a very good water supply. Alternatively, in rural area is much lower than this. Then let's talk about the sanitation, how the sanitation improves in Mexico. It is 85% adequate sanitation in cities or urban area, and rural is like around 80%. So you can see the standard living on there. The urban people like get a better opportunity than rural areas people. So this, and the meanwhile, the other side in electricity, you can see the in 2016 it was 100%. That means no more household or everywhere electricity, so no more like shortage of electricity. Even I studied a little bit beyond this one. They even also know how I will export the goods to the country. They also share the electricity to the other cities, other countries, like in before the cities. So you can see the other records. The low of 2007 is like below 2% of 100, which is but by the year of 16 they are making the 100 at all. And the next slide is also talk about health condition. How the Mexican countries getting health support from that national. So in 2007 to 10, you can see 1.7 numbers of all-time hospital beds of 1,000 people. A record was low in 1.000 number in 2003 and 2004. So on average, you can say 1.2 number of December 2019, 2015. You can see this, the graph, how it's increased and sometimes it decreases because of how the countries study on the maybe probably actually, how can I say this one? The interest of people is studying on the medical. So it improvises the people of life. So previously it was like, you can see one physicians per 1,000 people, there was a one. But in all time, the higher rate is 2.893 ratio in 2004. So gradually you can see on average, 1980 to 2015, it's a little bit slopped down, so like 1.2. So you can see the people of studying in medical on there, people are now getting supports. So hope there is also some other standard of living. Maybe we can discuss in another time on slides. So at this point of time, we just wrap up with this one. I'll call to Miss Lian to wrap up this presentation, and thanks to all.
Thank you, Javed, for presenting so well on the economic data as well as the main standards of living indicators. So in conclusion, we can see that overall, Mexico has a strategic location for a strong business hub because it has an open concept that welcomes any form of business opportunities, as it has joined NAFTA and it has various systematic modes of transportations for import and export. Its weather patterns and climatic conditions allow safe and conducive forms of business activities to be conducted. In addition, it also has a stable economic data as well as the access to water and electricity. So that's all from us, and we hope that you have enjoyed our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.